This is Adventure for Life. I'm Joel. Welcome to day 6 of the Grenadier's 15,000 mile cross-country trek from mile marker 0 in Key West, Florida to Dead Horse, Alaska. Okay, so I am in Big Cypress National Preserve, which is, from what I can tell, a part of the Everglades National Park. So I did the boat ride last week for the videos in the Everglades Park, you know, and did all that. And not too far up the road is Big Cypress National Preserve, and so I'm going to see what that's all about. Going to get to go off-road. It just now quit. It was raining like crazy just a few minutes ago, and it stopped about the time I got here. So this is an unpaved road, as you can see. We're going to see what it's all about, and hopefully there'll be some things that are worth videoing as we go. Before I take off, a couple of just minor updates on the car. First, I had made a comment in the not so good section of a video I did a few weeks ago about the braking. And it appears, and somebody responded and commented, and I appreciated it, and said, yeah, Joel, I think you're overstating how weak the brakes are. And I think they're right. I had the opportunity, again, it rained really hard on the way out here, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try these brakes out. So I was going 50, 55 miles an hour down the highway, and I'm not going to say jammed the brakes, but I hit them pretty hard. It slowed down from probably 50, 55 down to about 30, 35 pretty quickly, and then I'm almost sure the anti-lock system kicked in and slowed me the rest of the way down. So when I have a couple of times have felt like there was like a sliding going on, and I wasn't sure if it was actually the tire sliding or the anti-lock, and it turns out I'm almost sure now that it was the anti-lock. So I'm much more confident in the brakes now, and so that's a good thing. Number two, talk about gas mileage for a second. So I've done enough checking of the gas mileage that I think I can give an update on that. First of all, if you use the on-screen gas mileage checker, based on my calculations that I'm doing with the calculator, and I mean, it's not all that hard. You take how many miles you went and you divide it by how many gallons of gas you bought, and there's your gas mileage. Well, what shows on screen for the trip information screen appears to me to be about overstating the miles per gallon you're getting by 2 or 2.5 miles a gallon. So I've checked this thing and gotten anywhere from 13.4 to 15.5, and the difference was the 13.4 was when I was going down the Central Florida Turnpike and going 75, 80 miles an hour, and the 15.5 was when I was going down the highway through the Florida Keys. And so you're going 40, 45, 50, 55 miles an hour. So it does appear that the lack of aerodynamics on this vehicle makes a pretty big difference in the gas mileage. Again, one other comment, what showed on the screen, each time I checked it, and I think I've checked it like 4 or 5 times now, I've made my calculation, I've looked on the screen, and what's on the screen is showing 2.5 miles per gallon more than what I actually got. And I've verified the mileage. The mileage that shows on the screen is exactly right to the mile. I compared that, I'm talking about the trip information screen, and I've compared that against what I calculated from the odometer. It appears that it's just estimating how many miles per gallon you're getting. So anyway, that's it on those 2 minor things, and we're going to see what Big Cypress is all about. So I haven't gone very far, and and just going to take some quick video here to give you a feeling for what it's like going through all these potholes. This road's, you know, not the greatest, and, you know, I'm bouncing around, can't see exactly how deep those potholes are, and I'm not trying to avoid them, I'm driving right through them. But, you know, the ride's good. Obviously, you'd love for it to be perfectly smooth, but I'd give it a good at this point, and I'll start trying to avoid these potholes going down the road. You also get a look at, you know, what the scenery is like here. It's just an overgrown forested area. Everglades Conservation Land Sportsman's Club. So I'm guessing that's probably some kind of hunting or shooting or whatever it is. So anyway, we'll see what Big Cypress is all about. Okay, so a little bit more on the road being rough. You can see it's relatively rough here, although it doesn't look like it rained as much because there's not a bunch of water in these potholes. I do hear a little clanging sound down there somewhere, but there was a Toyota Tacoma pickup truck in front of me, and I pretty quickly caught up to him and passed him. And it's not like I'm trying to be some speed demon out here, but it did appear that this Grenadier was handling this road much better than he. And I mean, I passed the guy. I'm going to turn around and see if, you know, if you can see blue way back there in the middle of the road, that's him. And I passed him probably 2 minutes ago, so have really left him behind. One other thing, you know, I mentioned on the not so good video about the table on the back door rattling and having some kind of resonance. And I wasn't 100% sure it was the table, but I certainly thought it was. And sure enough, I got a towel and put it on top of the table, then closed the table, and guess what? No more rattle, no more resonance. And so that is an issue that, you know, some may have to deal with. Gator Hook Trailhead, I'm not doing that. Anyway, that's another minor issue that I had mentioned before that I've kind of, I hate to say resolved, because sticking a towel in there isn't the greatest thing of all time. I am kind of concerned about that clanging sound I'm hearing when I hit a dip pretty hard, but anyway, wanted to give those updates. A little further down the road, let you see a little bit more of what Big Cypress is all about. Again, it's basically been this the entire time. I wanted to address the ride again. I'm going between 30 and 35 miles an hour and just covering this stuff, and the suspension is really handling it well. So that's a good news thing. Again, I'm not trying to be a speed demon here. Having said that, I'd rather cover more ground than less ground, and you do that by going a little faster, and so it's nice that the vehicle will handle it. And at this point, I am very impressed with how good the ride is. So quick stop here, a little bit of a clearing in the Everglades, and here's why it's called Big Cypress Preserve, because those are, I'm going to use the word all, I'm sure they're not all cypress trees. There's the namesake for Big Cypress. If you can see the water flowing, now this is a bridge, and so the water is being concentrated here. The guide earlier, or yesterday on the airboat ride, said that the Everglades, again, is a river, and it's flowing at half a mile per day. So slowest flowing river in the United States. I would think it's the slowest flowing river in, I don't know if it's the world. I wonder where there's a slower flowing river. But anyway, this again is, you see the current there because the water's been concentrated due to the road, but you get a good view of the Grenadier. Get a little muck on it, get a little dirty. That's what's supposed to happen. So we'll see how dirty I can get it. I'm not some kind of mudder, by the way. I have no interest in getting this thing totally submerged in mud or whatnot, but it looks good with a little dirt on it. So the topography's changed a little bit. Instead of big cypress, it's little cypress, and they're much shorter now. So I stopped for that purpose, and there's some other kinds of vegetation here too, but also to show you the washboards on the road. So I'm gonna, you know, do these washboards. Now they're wet, damp, so you know, maybe they're a little bit softer, but I'm getting just the slightest amount of vibration, and right now I'm going 30 miles an hour. You know, I've gone up to 40 miles an hour on this road with some little washboards and going through some little potholes like that one or whatnot. And again, very happy, very impressed with the ride on this thing. I've passed several cars that were, one was the Toyota Tacoma that was an off-roader, another that wasn't an off-roader, and this thing obviously just handles, here, I'm going to go through this. Woo! Got a little wet there. Handles the road so much better, and it's as good as I had hoped for. So that's a good thing. So got the chance to stop a little further down the road. And there's an alligator, there's an alligator, there's an alligator. So not very big, obviously. Probably 6 foot would be my guess. Again, if you can see, there's this one right here, there's one right there, and then here's another one right here. Obviously what I'm hoping for is there's not one right there that I don't see. Anyway, I was wondering, you know, on that airboat ride that I did yesterday, there just weren't. We saw the one alligator when I was leaving the dock, and then the one that was by its nest. But other than that, I thought we were going to be seeing big old alligators all over the place, and it just wasn't the case. So anyway, there's your big cypress again. So this is interesting. I saw this van yesterday or the day before. We accept support with diesel and fuel. Oh, diesel and food. Argentina to Alaska. Well, maybe I'll see them several more times on my trip, but my guess is they're moving a little slower than I am. All right, so there's 4 of them now fiddling around, but anyway, on down the road. So back there with the alligators, I met a guy from England, and he was actually from Manchester, and so knew Sir Jim Ratcliffe because Ratcliffe is a part owner in Manchester United now. And anyway, I actually had to tell him the story of the Grenadier. He was semi-familiar with it. But anyhow, so we've obviously gotten off of the dirt part of the road now and backed onto the paved part of the road. And so I think it's only a few miles left. So we'll see if there's a sign at the end. So there's the sign for the big Cypress National Preserve and the visitor center that goes along with it. I'm turning in here real quick. You know, I would say this, and this is going to sound negative, and I don't intend it to be, but you know, I spent about an hour inside, you know, on that loop road, and went into the preserve, and you know, that's about what it was worth. I enjoyed it. It was pretty, but it was, you know, same thing, you know, I hate to say over and over and over again, but it was repetitive. There weren't, you know, any special stops or whatnot. Obviously I got to stop and see those alligators, but that was happenstance. It was nice, it was worth the hour, but that's about all it was worth. I'm gonna step out real quick because got rained on some more, and just gonna see how much it washed the Grenadier off, and the answer is not much, especially on the back. Anyway, I'm going to see if I can do a diners, drive-ins, and dives today. And if so, we'll continue this on. If not, this will be the end of day 6. And so we'll see what happens there. So ran across the big Cypress Bend Boardwalk. So I'm going to check that out, see what it's all about. So the big Cypress Boardwalk is a boardwalk above the Big Cypress National Preserve. So, I mean, it is cool. You know, you want to come out here and see alligators and panthers and stuff like that roaming all over the place, and that's probably just not going to happen. But it does give you a good look over the what the swamp is like, and you can imagine all of the, I'm going to use a fancy word, biodiversity that is here, both from an animal standpoint and from a plant standpoint. So anyway, pretty cool. I'm not going to walk the whole thing because I'm just not going to. But it was worth the stop to see if you kind of wonder what a swamp looks like out in the middle of it. This gives you a good look and a good feel for what that's like. By the way, the sawgrass, and I don't know that that's sawgrass right there, but we fiddled with sawgrass a little bit yesterday on the airboat ride. And I figured out why it was called sawgrass, because it will sure enough cut you. So if you are running your finger up the sawgrass, it's all fine. But if you start running your finger down the sawgrass, it will cut you because it's got a bunch of jagged edges on it or whatnot. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. Again, if there's a diners, drive-ins, and dives, I'll stop. If not, I'll close for today, day 6, and pick it up here tomorrow. So I ran into some people that said it wasn't much further to the end of the boardwalk. So I walked to the end of the boardwalk. And so it brings you down to this lake here. Said be careful for alligators. So I'm sure there's a bunch of them down here and they're hard to see. Anyway, brings you down to this little lake, and there's a little shell walkway here, whatnot. I'm going to end here. I'm in Sarasota, Florida. I'm at Alpine Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. And this is on the diners, drive-ins, and dives. And I'm going to becoming a vegetarian is a huge mistake. All right, we're going to see what this is all about. Okay, ordered the bacon as my appetizer, thick cut, cooked in-house, smoked in-house. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, I ordered the Del Monaco ribeye. And some of y'all are going to think I'm insane, but medium well, because I don't like rare steaks. Anyway, and the twice baked potatoes, so we'll see how it goes. By the way, the bacon was absolutely fantastic. Okay, so the steak was absolutely phenomenal. I'm not really a beef guy, but it was just incredibly well cooked. It was awesome. I got the ribeye. This is their cherry cobbler. Thank you. Their specialties, key lime pie, but I'm not too big a fan of that, so I decided to get this. So the cobbler was great. Again, their dessert specialties, key lime pie, but that's just not too much my thing. So I got the cherry cobbler, and it was absolutely fantastic. So again, Alpine Steakhouse in Sarasota, where becoming a vegetarian is a huge mistake. Anyway, pretty funny. Good day today. Obviously, the Big Cypress Preserve was not that great, but finished up with a fantastic meal. Again, I'm not much of a beef guy, steak guy. I prefer seafood and pastas and that kind of thing. One of the things I learned is that's probably because I don't get to eat steak that's cooked as well as this was, and the cut of beef or whatever, because man, this was fantastic. All right, end of day 6, and I'll see you next week.